Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Growing Leader podcast with me, Kemi Taylor, where we are sharing ideas to help you build relationships with clarity and creativity. And in this week's episode, we're exploring leadership styles. Now, this is all about being aware of what sort of environment, climate we're creating through the way that we lead. This week's episode, we're exploring leadership styles. Now, this is all about being aware of what sort of environment, climate we're creating through the way that we lead. We all have our default ways that we would lead, and this could have been something that we have taken from growing up, from our gardens around us, environments, or even from, places of work or where we've lived or our cultures, etc. So being aware that there are different styles and different ways to lead, and recognizing that there are some contexts or situations where a particular style is more helpful, more useful, that produces a positive growth climate to some others, is actually a really helpful way of adapting your style of leadership to the current environment that you're working in. Daniel Goleman has done a lot of work in this space, and so I'm going to share the 5 Daniel Goleman leadership styles that he has put together and share with you what he thinks are positive growth climates and what aren't so positive as well. So the first style is commanding. This is all about demanding immediate compliance. This is useful and helpful in a crisis or when you're working with difficult people. And according to Daniel Goleman, this creates a negative climate. Now, the challenge though is that if this is the style that we've been raised and we now exercise this style when we go out, chances are we probably might come across as being bullyish or being very controlling. And it's recognizing that people aren't bought in just because we're expecting them to listen to every single demand that we issue out. So what I'd encourage is for you to practice in your home environment, if this is your default style, to recognize that there's a place and a time for that, and actually lean on some of the other styles for a more positive climate at other times and less on this as the default style. It's very typical that perhaps if you're a parent or if you are the maybe firstborn or something, or just generally if you're the one that always tends to take charge, that this might be a style that you tend to lead through, or if you're in a position of authority, this tends to be a style that by default you tend to lead through. So the next style is pace setting. So this is all about self-direction and expecting excellence. So this usually are people who lead from the style are usually ones that lead by example. They're actually superstars. They are doing great work out there and they're just expecting everyone else to do great work just as great as they do. But in fact, what they aren't doing is connecting to where people are at and meeting them at where they're at and helping them through the challenges that they're going through. And in essence, what it is you're not helping people to get bought in. You're not working through the challenges through people. You're just expecting them to just work through their issues on their own. It is good for people who are competent and it creates a competitive environment, but it's not everyone that thrives in such a competitive environment where they aren't used to supporting and helping the people around them to excel as well. So I would encourage that, again, according to Daniel Goleman, this is a negative climate if this is a default style that's used all the time. So I would encourage that, again, if this is your default style, that lean on some of the other styles so that you practice creating a positive growth climate as you lead at home, work, and in your wider context. So the next style is democratic. So this is all about leading through participation and getting buy-in. This is great for when you're trying to get people to get bought into an idea, and it's great for participation because people are bought in, and that's why it is a positive growth climate according to Daniel Goleman if this is one of your styles that you use to lead. Be aware, however, that this does sometimes take time and sometimes it's not possible to get everyone to all agree. So there is a time and a place for this style to be used, because what in fact you might be doing is prolonging making decisions because you're waiting for that buy-in from everyone. You're trying to find a solution that works with everyone. And that's why sometimes typically people look for alignment rather than agreement. But like I said, this is a good way of getting people to be bought in, to get input, to get ideas, and it is a positive growth climate. So if this is your default style, I'll definitely encourage that you keep using it and recognize a time and a place for it, and also lean on the other styles for other times where that might be the better suited way of leading. The fourth leadership style is affiliative. So this is all about creating emotional bonds and harmony. And this is great for healing rifts between teams and creating emotional bonds between teams. Now, this is a great way for buy-in, and it creates a positive growth climate according to Daniel Goleman, because people are getting on and there is connection between the team and between the people who you're working with. And I would encourage that this style is used if this is your default style. And again, similar to all the other styles, recognize when the other styles might be best suited as well. Because actually the tendency that you might find with this style being your default style is you put making people happy and people feeling good over actually results being achieved and the purpose and the objective of why you're there to achieve what to achieve. So again, there is a balance between recognizing what you can do to create emotional harmony and how you can heal rifts, but also equally when other styles are best suited. The next fourth style is coaching. Now, this is useful for when you're trying to help people evolve into a role, people helping them with self-development, and is usually really helpful when you're working towards their own personal objective. I would encourage that you use this style, as this is a positive climate if the style is used according to Daniel Goleman. And it's, like I mentioned, really great for when you're helping people to step into their own goals and achievements that they're trying to create. Be mindful, however, that with this style, it is best suited for when you are trying to help somebody achieve their goals. And it's great for asking questions where you believe that as a coach, the coachee has the answers and they will come up with the best answers. There is a difference between a coach and a mentor, so I'll just touch on that briefly. Coaches ask you really good questions for your answers. Mentors give you really good answers to your questions. So mentors will typically have walked the walk that you're trying to walk and will have experience that they're gleaning on to give you strategies and advice on how to do it. So they have really good answers to keep giving you with the questions that you come to them with. Coaches, on the other hand, may not necessarily have gone through what you've gone through, but they bring with them a lot of curiosity so that they can keep asking questions to help you really understand what's going on. And also with that can then help you answer the questions, or present you with the questions so that you can answer the questions, and then you can find the solution that's best for you. And what people tend to find is that with coaches, they have a lot of growth because they are strengthening their problem-solving skills because they're mining the answers themselves, and they're getting more buy-in because the answers are coming from them as opposed to the answers coming from outside, i.e. an expert. This coaching style is really great because it helps you feel that it's not the coach it's not the leader that's dominating, but it's you that's dominating. So with the questions, so leading with questions is a great way of leading, because the answers that come up will always be from the crowd, will always be from the collective. And so it's the collective that are driving the solution that we're adopting, the solution that we're coming up with. So at home, this is a really great way of how you're raising kids, raising them to ask questions and for them to mine the answers themselves, not giving them the answers, but asking them really good quality questions so that they're able to come up with the answers themselves. And last but not least, the fifth style is visionary. So this is all about mobilizing people towards a vision, painting a picture. You're not telling them what, you're not telling them how, you're not telling them when, you're simply inspiring them. Now, according to Daniel Goleman, this is the most positive climate. And so with this, there is something about getting people's buy-in because people are motivated. Now, you have to recognize that we're all slightly motivated by in slightly different ways. So the way you'd communicate to motivate person A might slightly be different to the way you communicate to motivate person B, and recognizing that the way we'd motivate ourselves would equally be different to the way we might motivate other people. But like I mentioned, this is a positive growth climate because you're giving people autonomy to come up with the answers, to come up with the way they are going to make that vision come alive. You're not giving them any of that, simply inspiring them and simply creating a clear picture that they can connect to and run with. This works best for when clear direction is needed or when there's a change that's needed. So now we've run through them all, what exercise I always try and get my clients to do is actually to take all 5 and practice this. So find one thing you'd like to achieve and think of one person you would be making that request to get them to achieve it. It could even be something as simple as, I would like to ask person A to wash the plates, and actually run through each of the different styles and use that style to make that request. And what you'll probably find is that one particular style might be easier to adopt than another. And maybe that might give you a bit of an idea as to which is your default way of leading, and also might help you recognize the challenges you come across with some other ways of leading, and then you can explore that. The reason why I always encourage that this is done with a coach is because there will be, like I mentioned, challenges that will come up, and it's worthwhile exploring that with someone. It also is great for someone else to hear how it is that you are trying to reenact that style, and they can ask questions to help you think about how you can reenact it and connect with it better. And I always find that once you connect with it, it gives you so much breadth and so much knowledge and so much insight or in perspective as to how you could be leading even more effectively and more tools that you can put in your toolbox. So I hope you found this useful to explore the different ways that you can lead, the different ways you are leading, and what potentially your default style is. And so with that, I always say, keep learning, keep growing. God bless. Bye.